Hello and welcome to EyeOpener powered by Siemens. Today I'm live at SPS 2023 where I'm delighted to be joined by Anders Ottosen from Siemens, where we are going to be discussing the topic around the state of readiness in the Danish region. So a big welcome to Anders. If you could start off by introducing yourself, that would be great.
Of course, and thank you for having me. So my name is Anders Ottosen, and I am a regional account manager in Denmark, and I'm working a lot with IT to OT integration, and thereby I've also been working a lot with the Senseye predictive maintenance tools.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.
Yeah.
I guess let's get straight into this whole topic.
Yeah.
So what made you want to join the Senseye predictive maintenance?
So it's actually almost, I think, 15 or 16 months ago, we were approached by a pharma customer that has been working with predictive maintenance themselves and was asking us what we could do, both in terms of connectivity for their production facilities, but also especially in terms of the Senseye predictive maintenance portfolio. Because it was actually just around there that we had announced that this Senseye predictive maintenance tool would actually become part of the Siemens portfolio. And what we later discovered with the client was actually that one of the reasons why, besides the technology, that they chose to go and do a POC with us was actually because of the integration with the Siemens portfolio, because it gave some credibility to the portfolio.
Okay, brilliant. And as you touched on joining the portfolio within Siemens. So my next question is really around, what makes Senseye predictive maintenance different compared to others that you've worked with within the portfolio around Siemens?
Yeah. So thank you for that. First of all, the agile way of working and the nimbleness the platform has is one thing. We have really seen that we many times have questions from the customer, and we were able to adjust to those. But besides these things, that is of course, when you're a startup, a competitive advantage. One thing is the openness about the platform. So we have all the time been very transparent with the customer about what is possible, and we compare to some of the other elements in the DI portfolio. Senseye is truly open and is able to work with any vendor and doesn't care about what is already out there, the legacy.
Yes.
So the connectivity part of it has been one of the key strengths about it.
Brilliant. That's great to know. And I think a lot of people do mention about this openness and transparency and the fact that Senseye predictive maintenance can integrate with many different platforms.
And we have had some more funny encounters with that, because starting to engage with the people that also came with the acquisition of Senseye predictive maintenance, people weren't really they didn't really know how big a strength it was that Senseye predictive maintenance was such an open tool.
Yes.
And for us, coming maybe from some of the other parts of Siemens, it is a key strength. And they have started to learn now how important that is.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I guess that takes me to the next question around, the state of readiness. What does that look like within the Danish market?
I think I spoke to a machine builder a couple of weeks or months ago, and one of them was saying, they had been sitting in this forum and asked about, we all are striving for Industry 4.0. But where are we? And everybody was saying we are probably at Industry 3.1, 3.2. So, we have started to take the first leaps into acquisition of data, but we still really don't know what we should use it for.
Okay.
And, that is at least where I see the Danish market right now.
Okay.
We have started to move away from the question of why should we start to collect data into more, okay, there is value in the data we can extract, but how do we then transform that into actual business use cases and value for our customers and also for ourselves?
Okay. And I guess you get that question asked quite a lot. You know, a lot of people ask the question around why. Why should we do this? This whole topic around digital transformation.
Yeah.
So do you see the market, I mean, how do you see the market from, 5 years from now?
I see that extraction and data and understanding your machine and also your end production, your production facilities from also a data point becomes a key asset and a competitive advantage in the market. So it's not going to be a question about either you do it or not. It actually becomes about, you using it as a competitive advantage, both as an end customer and also a machine builder.
Okay, brilliant. And then, just moving into the key benefits of predictive maintenance. Mm-hmm. What would you say are your kind of, top 3 key benefits around this topic?
So, what we have seen is that uptime and, keeping your production running just becomes a focal point. And what we learned, at least in our POC, is that we all hope when you start the project that you find this one golden nugget. Yes. That, pays for everything. And, now we're just going to do it fully blown. But that is not how predictive maintenance, at least in our project, worked. It was more about actually visualizing for the customer, the different potentials. And then by time starting to gain these smaller use cases. And then we also found 2 larger use cases that proved the worth of Sensei predictive maintenance. Okay. But it's important that you don't start the project defining this is the one thing we want to find. It is actually about that you get the insurance for your entire production, that we are actually monitoring it and would be able to detect if something were to happen.
Okay. No, I understand. And from within the Danish market, would you say there's like key focus verticals for predictive maintenance? Is there a trend within that market?
No, we've seen a lot of interest from all kinds of production, but we see that some of the industries are more mature in terms of working with data. Okay. Now we talked about, the pharma vertical, and that is at least because production is so important to them and uptime. They have already started to work a lot with this. So we see some industries that is far, more mature in terms of working with data, but across the board, everyone has started to work with data in manufacturing.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Really great to know. And I guess, when it comes to benefits, there's always risks. Yeah. There's always some issues which can be involved. So same question again around the risks, your top 3 risks within the predictive maintenance.
One of the big risks is to say that, we can predict especially these kind of things. So, when you set out for this project, it should be actually about that you understand, okay, we actually try to detect what we don't know. Okay. Because a lot of the new challenge, the new areas we detect, we will not know before we start the project. And you need to be in line with that. So if it's because, you always see the same problem and you want to detect that specific, then it's not predictive maintenance for you. It should be about, the insurance, understanding that this is actually, future insurance for your entire production that you should start with. So I think that is one of the key risks, that you understand the actual values about it and not one specific use case.
Okay, fine. And then, that takes me to the next question around, from your perspective, how important would you say your role is when it comes to fulfilling this predictive maintenance?
I would say it becomes very important, especially also because predictive maintenance starts to really become, a specific use case where the IT world is moving into the OT world. So, it's not enough that you know how to, what data and the communication method. You also need to have domain understanding of your machine, which we already have in manufacturing. Yes. But then you need to combine it with actually, the aggregation of the data and actually visualizing this so it provides value for the end customer. Yes. And that is not something we in the OT world have been working a lot with. And that is why I see a lot of culture changes here where, you need a strong partner. It could be Siemens in this way, where we facilitate and help this dialogue between the different cultures.
Of course. And there's many elements which need to be taken into consideration when it does come to running a successful PDM project.
Yeah.
Cultural change is one of the biggest ones which really come into it. And I think people underestimate how important it is, especially with key stakeholders, both internal and external. So I guess I have, a question, more of a discussion question. So there's been talks around end users and machine builders. Okay, so this whole topic focused around digital transformation. What's your view on this?
My view is that I see a great push from the end customers towards the machine builders, that they want the insurance that their production is up and running all the time, and they have maximum uptime in that. And that push will come towards the machine builders. And the machine builders' role in this will be to provide the context and the domain knowledge for the end customers. Because, of course, we can all agree that all data would be the best in the world, but that is actually not the key here. The key is to have the right data and to have the right domain knowledge to actually explain for the end customers what should you measure on and where is the pitfalls within this. So I also see a great opportunity for the machine builders to actually become this trusted advisor for the end customers, to be part of the value chain within PDM for the end customers, and deliver knowledge that is important for the end customers when they start their PDM journeys. Because for sure, within the next couple of years, it's just going to be mandatory that you measure on your end production and ensure the most uptime that is possible.
Of course. Completely agree with your points.
Thank you.
So I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you so much for talking about this topic around the state of readiness within the Danish market. Appreciate your insights, and thank you very much for joining me on today's episode. Please like and subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for the next one in the series.